After 60, many people are told the same thing again and again. Slow down. Rest more. Take it easy. Sit before you get tired. Avoid effort. This advice usually comes from a good place. Family members worry. Doctors want to prevent injury. Care systems are designed around safety. But there is a quiet problem hidden inside this well-intended message. Too much rest does not protect the aging body. It weakens it. In Western aging culture, rest is treated as medicine. When someone feels pain, fatigue, or imbalance, the instinctive response is to reduce activity. Less movement is seen as lower risk. Less effort is seen as protection. Over time, this creates a lifestyle where the body is rarely challenged. Chairs replace standing. Cars replace walking. Convenience replaces effort. The body adapts quickly, but not in the way most people expect. Muscle tissue is highly sensitive to use. When muscles are not regularly engaged, they begin to shrink. This process, known as age-related muscle loss, accelerates dramatically with inactivity. Studies consistently show that even short periods of reduced movement can lead to measurable strength loss in older adults. Balance declines next, because balance is not a static skill. It is a dynamic response trained through small, constant adjustments. When those adjustments disappear, stability follows. The nervous system plays a central role in this process. Movement is not just mechanical. Every step, shift, and reach sends signals to the brain. These signals maintain coordination, reaction speed, and spatial awareness. When movement is removed, the brain receives fewer inputs. Neural pathways begin to quiet down. Reflexes slow. This is not aging caused by time. It is aging caused by underuse. Western care systems often reinforce this cycle without realizing it. Older adults are encouraged to rest instead of adapt. Tasks are taken away instead of modified. Help arrives too early and stays too long. Over time, strength is replaced with dependency. What began as protection slowly becomes limitation. Japan approached this same aging reality from a different angle. Faced with one of the world's oldest populations, Japanese society observed something important early on. The greatest threat to independence was not effort, it was stillness. Instead of telling older adults to rest more, Japanese daily life encouraged them to keep moving, but gently. The emphasis is not on exercise in the Western sense. It is not about workouts, intensity, or pushing limits. It is about preserving daily effort, standing up frequently, walking short distances, carrying light objects, participating in routine tasks. These movements are small, but they are constant. The body responds to consistency more than intensity. In Japan, rest is not eliminated, but it is used strategically. Rest follows movement, not the other way around. Effort is reduced gradually, not removed abruptly. Tasks are adjusted instead of eliminated. This preserves strength without overloading the system. The result is a body that remains capable longer, even as overall capacity slowly changes. This difference becomes especially visible in how weakness is interpreted. In Western settings, signs of fatigue often trigger more rest. In Japanese settings, the response is adjustment, slower pace, shorter distance, more frequent breaks. But movement continues. This sends a critical message to the body. You are still needed. You are still capable. Biology responds predictably to this message. Muscles that are used regularly decline more slowly. Balance maintained through daily movement remains functional. Coordination stays sharper. The nervous system stays engaged. Independence lasts longer, not because aging is avoided, but because disuse is. Overresting creates another hidden problem. When effort is removed, confidence disappears with it. The fear of falling increases. The fear of fatigue increases. This fear leads to even less movement, creating a self-reinforcing loop. Many older adults become weak, not because their bodies fail, but because they stop trusting their bodies. Japanese aging culture works quietly against this loop. Movement remains normal. Effort remains expected. Participation remains part of identity. Older adults are not praised for resting. They are respected for continuing. This does not mean ignoring pain or limitation. It means adapting around it without surrendering function. Western research is now beginning to confirm what daily observation long suggested. Studies comparing active aging environments to overly protective ones show significant differences in strength, balance, and mobility. Seniors encouraged to move lightly, but often maintain physical function far longer than those encouraged to rest excessively. The protective instinct backfires. This does not mean rest is bad. Rest is essential. Recovery matters. Sleep matters. The problem is not rest itself. The problem is rest without movement. When rest becomes the default state rather than the recovery state, the body begins to decline faster than necessary. After 60, strength is no longer maintained by occasional effort. It is maintained by daily effort. Small movements repeated consistently matter more than rare exertion. Japan's approach preserves this rhythm naturally. Western systems often disrupt it unintentionally. Understanding this changes how aging should be viewed. Weakness is not an unavoidable outcome of getting older. In many cases, it is the result of being protected too much and challenged too little. When movement is removed, strength disappears. When effort is preserved gently, strength follows. In the next part, we will look more closely at how Japanese daily movement differs from Western exercise culture, and why light, frequent effort is more powerful than intense but infrequent activity for preserving strength after 60. In Western cultures, the moment people hear the word movement, they often think of exercise, gyms, workouts, intensity, repetitions, sweat. For older adults, this association creates an immediate problem. Exercise begins to feel intimidating, risky, or unrealistic. As a result, many seniors avoid movement entirely, believing that if they cannot exercise properly, it is safer to rest. Japanese aging culture never framed movement this way. Movement was never separated from daily life and labeled as a special activity. It was never something you had to prepare for, schedule, or feel qualified to do. It was simply part of living. This distinction explains why light, frequent movement remains common well into old age. In Japan, strength preservation does not depend on formal exercise programs. It depends on daily motion embedded into routine, standing instead of sitting when possible, walking short distances rather than relying on transport, carrying small items, bending, reaching, and turning as part of ordinary tasks. None of these movements appear impressive, but together they create continuous stimulation for muscles, joints, and the nervous system. Western exercise culture often emphasizes intensity over consistency. People are encouraged to work out a few times a week, and remain inactive the rest of the time. For aging bodies, this pattern is inefficient. Intense effort followed by long periods of rest increases injury risk and discourages adherence. When soreness or fatigue appears, rest becomes prolonged, and the cycle of inactivity resumes. Japanese movement philosophy avoids this cycle by lowering the threshold for participation. Movement is not judged by how hard it is, but by how often it occurs. Light effort repeated daily produces a stronger long-term effect on balance, coordination, and muscle endurance than sporadic intense exercise. The body responds to repetition more reliably than to bursts. This approach also protects the nervous system. Frequent movement keeps sensory feedback active. Each step reinforces spatial awareness. Each shift of weight maintains balance reflexes. Each reach or turn keeps coordination circuits engaged. When movement is rare, these systems degrade. When movement is frequent, even at low intensity, they remain functional. Another key difference lies in how fatigue is interpreted. In Western settings, fatigue is often treated as a warning to stop entirely. In Japanese daily life, fatigue signals adjustment, not cessation. Pace slows, tasks are simplified, breaks are taken, but movement continues. This prevents the sudden drop in activity that accelerates weakness. Fear plays a large role in this difference. Many Western seniors are afraid of falling, afraid of pain, afraid of overexertion. This fear is often reinforced by overprotective advice. Sit down. Don't strain. Let someone else do that. Over time, fear replaces confidence. Movement becomes unfamiliar. The body feels fragile. Japanese aging environments work quietly against this fear by normalizing movement at every age. Older adults are not singled out as fragile. They move alongside others at their own pace. The expectation is not performance, but participation. This preserves confidence. Confidence preserves movement. Movement preserves strength. The environment itself supports this philosophy. Walkable neighborhoods, accessible public spaces, simple routines that require leaving the house. These structures encourage movement without calling attention to it. In contrast, many Western environments discourage movement unintentionally. Long distances, car dependency, furniture designed for prolonged sitting. Convenience replaces necessity. Strength loss after 60 is rarely sudden. It is usually the result of thousands of small decisions to rest instead of move, sit instead of stand, avoid instead of adapt. These decisions accumulate quietly. Japanese daily life interrupts this accumulation by keeping small demands present. Importantly, this does not mean ignoring pain or medical limitations. Japanese aging does not deny physical decline. It adapts around it. Chairs are used when needed, but standing is not eliminated. Support is added without removing agency. Assistance is layered without erasing effort. Western research increasingly supports this approach. Studies comparing light daily movement to structured exercise programs show that consistency produces better long-term outcomes for balance and functional strength in older adults. People who move a little every day maintain independence longer than those who exercise occasionally and rest excessively. The misunderstanding comes from equating effort with danger. After 60, effort is not the enemy. Stillness is. Muscles weaken faster from disuse than from gentle use. Balance declines faster from inactivity than from cautious movement. The body is designed to adapt to demand. When demand disappears, decline accelerates. Japanese aging culture preserves demand carefully, not by pushing limits, but by refusing to eliminate them. This creates a body that remains capable, not because it is forced to perform, but because it is allowed to function. Understanding this difference reframes aging entirely. Strength is not something lost suddenly at a certain age. It is something gradually surrendered when movement disappears from daily life. Japan delays this surrender by embedding movement where it belongs, inside ordinary living. In the next part, we will look at how purpose, responsibility, and daily roles further protect strength and independence after 60, and why Japanese aging avoids removing these elements even when physical ability changes. Strength after 60 is not preserved by muscles alone. It is protected by purpose. When daily roles disappear, the body follows. This is one of the least discussed, yet most powerful differences between Western and Japanese aging approaches. In many Western societies, aging is closely linked to withdrawal. Retirement often marks the end of responsibility. Tasks are removed. Expectations are lowered. Help arrives even when it is not yet needed. The message is subtle but consistent. You have done enough. Sit down. Let others take over. While this may sound compassionate, it creates a dangerous gap between the body and its reason to function. The human body does not maintain strength in isolation. Movement is reinforced by intention. When there is a reason to stand, to carry, to walk, to show up, the body complies. When that reason disappears, effort fades. Muscles weaken not only because they are unused, but because they are no longer needed. Japanese aging culture resists this separation of age and purpose. Older adults are not quickly relieved of their roles. Responsibility changes, but it does not vanish. Contribution remains expected, even if it becomes smaller or slower. This expectation quietly protects strength. Daily roles in Japan are often modest, preparing simple meals, tending to small tasks, participating in neighborhood routines. These actions are not framed as exercise or therapy. They are framed as normal life. The body responds differently when movement is tied to purpose rather than obligation. Western care systems often remove tasks in the name of efficiency. It is faster for someone else to do it, safer to prevent effort. Over time, this creates learned dependence. The body adapts by letting go. Confidence erodes, fear increases. Movement becomes optional, then rare. Japanese systems adjust tasks instead of eliminating them. Effort is scaled, not removed. A heavier task becomes lighter. A longer task becomes shorter. But participation remains. This preserves a feedback loop. Effort leads to capability. Capability reinforces confidence. Confidence encourages continued movement. Purpose also affects the nervous system. When the brain perceives relevance, it maintains alertness. Reaction time stays sharper. Coordination remains functional. When relevance fades, neural engagement declines. This process accelerates aging from the inside. Western research increasingly supports this connection. Studies show that older adults who maintain social roles and daily responsibilities experience slower physical decline and better balance. Purpose predicts mobility as strongly as muscle mass. When people feel useful, they move more. When they move more, they stay stronger. Japanese aging environments are structured to preserve this usefulness. Older adults are visible in daily life. They are not hidden away. Their presence is normalized. This visibility reinforces identity. Identity reinforces action. Another important element is pacing. Japanese aging avoids extremes. There is no push to maximize productivity. There is also no rush to eliminate effort. The middle ground is protected. This balance prevents burnout and disuse at the same time. Western systems often swing between extremes, either intense effort through formal exercise or complete rest through overprotection. Japanese daily life stays between these poles. Movement is gentle but constant. Responsibility is light but real. This approach aligns closely with human biology. The body thrives under steady, manageable demand. It weakens under sudden removal of demand. Aging does not require stillness. It requires adjustment. Overresting after 60 is rarely about physical necessity. It is often about social expectation. When society expects weakness, weakness follows. When society expects participation, participation persists. Japan's advantage is not genetic. It is not discipline. It is not cultural stubbornness. It is structural design built around observation. Over generations, Japanese society noticed that people aged better when life continued. That observation shaped daily routines. Western societies are now rediscovering this truth through data. Studies on mobility, balance, and independence consistently show that frequent light movement and preserved roles slow decline. These findings mirror what Japanese daily life practiced without calling it science. The implication is powerful. Weakness after 60 is not inevitable. It is often optional. It emerges when movement, purpose, and confidence are removed too early. When these elements are preserved, strength follows. This does not mean denying rest. Rest remains essential, but rest must support movement, not replace it. Recovery should restore function, not erase it. Understanding this changes how aging should be approached. The goal is not to protect the body from effort. The goal is to protect effort from disappearing. When effort remains, strength remains. The Japanese approach avoids the trap of over-resting by refusing to treat aging as an emergency that requires withdrawal. Instead, it treats aging as a gradual adjustment that requires continuity. Strength fades fastest when life becomes too comfortable, too assisted, and too still. Strength lasts longest when life continues to ask something of the body, even gently. That single difference explains why resting too much after 60 often makes people weaker, and why Japan avoids this trap quietly, every day.